Hi everyone, thanks for purchasing my simple budget template off of Etsy. I really appreciate your purchase, and if you could leave any reviews, that'd be super helpful. This tutorial will give a brief overview of my budget template and get you quick started. If you click here in this cell, you can edit the name to be whatever you'd like. My name's Sean, so put this as Sean's monthly budget. If you click here, you can change the month. I'm going to change this to September. And if you click here, you can change what currency is being used. You can select pounds, but I'm going to keep this as USD. Just as a quick walkthrough of the various tables that we have our income summary, where you can input any income that comes in, the budgets versus the actuals. Debt right here, same concept, we put budget versus actuals. And then savings right here, if you want to contribute to a Roth IRA or maybe specific saving goals, you can put the budget and the actual amount here. Down below, we have a dashboard summary. And right now, this information is all blank because it feeds based off of the data that we put into these charts. So as we feed data in here, these tables will begin to populate. Right here, we have the expense budget, not to be confused with the expense activity tracker. The expense budget is basically you assigning various categories and how much you want to spend per month on those categories. And then the expense tracker logs each individual expense that you incur on a monthly basis um, on a specific transaction date, right? So this is actual, this is budget. And just one really cool thing here is if you look at this drop-down list, right now nothing is populating in categories. So you have to make sure to fill out the expense budget before you fill out the expense activity tracker. Let's put rent right here to start. And as you can see, if you click on the drop-down now, rent populates. You can continue to do this with other categories like utilities, maybe you have car maintenance, and then your food bills. And as you can see here, more options populate here. So for rent, let's say we want to put 1800, utilities 200, car stuff we'll put 120, and food we'll put 400 per month. Um, and if you go over here, we'll say that our rent was actually $1,800, no surprise. The date that we paid it was on the 1st, and rent is a need. So we'll fill out this right here. And the frequency, it's recurring in nature. And notes, put rent. Now, these two cells right here feed into charts below. So I definitely recommend filling them out. If I scroll down below right here, you can see this table that says wants versus needs, as well as recurring versus not recurring. Since we assigned rent to needs and it's the only expense right here, that's why everything is red, right? And same with recurring. But again, as we fill in more data, this information will be more useful. Okay. And notes is optional. You don't have to fill it out if you don't want to. Let's try another one. Utilities. This will be for our electric bill. And we paid that on the 2nd this month. This is definitely a need. We need it to survive. And it is also recurring. So we'll put electric. And that's how you fill out the expense activity tracker. I won't go in and fill out this information just because I think you get the gist of it. Let's move on to income. We'll have our monthly paycheck, and maybe we anticipate getting, I don't know, $5,000 from that on a monthly basis. But this month was a little extra. We got reimbursed for an expense that we incurred out of our own pocket. You can also add items for, let's say, any other income categories that you have, whether that's rental income, maybe you have a commission. So we'll put commission here, and we're anticipating $500. We did a little bit better than expected and got $750 this month. We also were anticipating a bonus of $250, and we only got 200 though. Oops. And as you can see, all formulas automatically update as we input information, and dollar signs populate as well whenever information is input into the system or into the table. And you can also change these back, so everything changes throughout. Really cool. Okay, down here in the debt category, we do have some student loans. Those are about $200 a month, and we pay exactly $200 a month for those. We also have a car loan, and our budget is 150, but we want to pay that off a little early, so we're putting 250 towards that every month. And then we also have a credit card loan, or I guess credit card. Again, we want to pay this off early, so um, we're putting 175 towards this per month, but we paid $200 this month. Savings, we are saving for our future, so we have a Roth IRA. We do have a 401k through our work. We also have a family vacation fund, and that will be our savings that we have. So for the Roth IRA, we'll put $300 a month. For the 401k, we'll put 250, and for the family vacation, we will put 125. And let's say we put 350. We actually saved towards the Roth IRA, maybe 200 for the 401k, and the family vacation we put 125. Okay. So now you can see that in our dashboard summary, this information is actually feeding through. Um, Again, it looks like we have only needs here. So just to make this information a little bit more useful, I'm just going to copy paste some data from what I have saved over here, just so you can see what things look like when it's fully complete. So I'm going to copy over these expense categories first. Again, make sure to always fill out the budget information before you fill out the expense tracker. And that's just because we have formulas in there embedded into the calculation for those drop down lists. Again, you'd ideally be filling out this information as expenses come in or at the end of the month. But just to save you time, I just want to show you what things look like when everything is input into the tables. Okay, now that we have all this information in, let's see what our dashboard summary looks like now. A little bit more useful, we can see our budget versus actuals right here. Our income, we saved a little bit more than anticipated. Our expenses are a little bit lower than anticipated. We have our wants versus needs, definitely more needs than wants. Expenses by category, we have rent is the biggest contributor here. And again, I would try to keep your expense budget right here around 15 or less categories if you can. It's just more helpful for this chart, seeing how the expenses break down. But again, completely up to you. And then we have a cash flow summary. We have our total income. Our expenses are 3,200. We also have debt outflows and saving contribution outflows. So overall, what we haven't spent yet is $1,500, and that will likely go towards savings. And then we have our recurring versus non-recurring expenses. And over here, we have a spend summary. So out of all the cash that is going out, we have 15% going to savings, 14% going to debt, and 71% is going towards expenses. Now, you also have to remember that this 1,500 right here is not included in the expense summary. This is only showing what is leaving your account from expenses, debt, to savings. And the other thing here is you can copy this tab. So this tab is useful for September. Maybe we'll label this as September down here. And I just edited that by double clicking into this tab right here. And if you right click here and then select move or copy, this will actually create a copy of this tab. If you select this box right here, say copy, and looks like I have an October one open right here. I'm just going to delete this one. And rename this one October. And now let's change the month name to October. We don't know what the actual amounts will be yet, so we're going to keep all the budgeted amounts, but actual data we'll have to remove right here. And the nice thing about this chart is if we remove these amounts, these dollar signs will magically disappear. If you do try to delete the dollar signs, you'll get this error because it's protected in the sheet. So don't worry about those. Actuals here, remove actuals here. Okay, and voila. This chart is ready for next month, and all you have to do is enter your actual information here, actuals for income, actuals for debt, and actuals for saving. As an added bonus to this budget template, I've also included a net worth tracker. This is super helpful if you want to track what your month-to-month net worth is. All you have to do is update the date. So maybe you started filling this out on January 1st, 2027. And right here, we'll just edit this information. In your checking account, you have $2,000. In your savings account, you have $5,000. But maybe you don't have a savings account. Maybe this is really an HSA. You can edit, spell check here, HSA. You can edit these and customize these as you like, just like you would be able to in the budget template. And again, automatic calculations throughout. Let's say you also have, I don't know, credit cards of $8,000, a car loan of $5,000. All that information is factored in, so we can see what our total assets are at 2,500. Our total liabilities are 13,000, which leaves us with a negative net worth right here. And you can see the net worth tracker right here, which shows what your net worth is on a month-to-month basis. Now let's just go back to what we had previously. Cleaner now. But it shows your net worth on a month-to-month basis, as well as your assets and liabilities on a month-to-month basis as well. This concludes my tutorial, but feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Again, any reviews are greatly appreciated. But again, thank you so much for your purchase and have a great day.